I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Tap the cue on the shoulder, that safety is coming over. I see that look in his eyes. If he slip, I'ma slide right under the tight end, curl over the right end. Long as the wide receiver block for me, I can jump right in. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to Week 2 Cowboy Game Day Live. Saints coming through AT&T Stadium to visit your Dallas Cowboys. Jesse Holley, Skywalker Still. You ready, baby?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cowboys coming off that Week 1 victory. This one's going to be different, though.
Yeah.
This one's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to break it all down for you, from the Cowboys offense against that defense of the Saints, and the Cowboys defense against that Saints offense, which I think is going to be the heavy hitter of today's game. But I give a quick shout out, man. Shouts out to the Saints fans. They live. They out here. They out here, and apparently they travel to AT&T. So Cowboy fans, I need y'all to get loud, man.
No,
we don't want that stadium to be taken over.
As a player and as someone now who analyzes the game, who has been at the stadium for a game and covering the game, there are so many New Orleans transplants here in the DFW. And one thing about New Orleans, they're going to come out. They're going to support. They're going to be loud. They're going to have a good time. So, Cowboy fans, this isn't the game. If you're at the stadium, this isn't the game where you want to be hush and you know, the wine and cheese. You got to match that energy.
And we said this before, and we say this almost every week. Cowboy opponents get up for the Cowboys, but especially on the road in Dallas, you know, with with all the glitz and glamour. And last year, the Cowboys at home were one of the best teams in the regular season at the crib, because we saw what happened in the postseason. But in the regular season, they were one of the best, if not the best team at the crib, especially that offense. And that's something we're going to talk about today, to see if that offense can kind of wake up a little bit. They went to sleep in the second half last week, Jesse. You know, we kind of talked about it in the post-game show, but when you go back and watch, again, you're like, okay, they 100% shut it down because the game was over or whatnot. But I feel like they're going to need to be awake for 4 quarters in this one, because the Saints offense is going to put pressure a little bit on you, I think.
No, absolutely. And what the Cowboys have been at home in the last 16 games, they're 16-0 at home, scoring just over 30 points a game, and they have 8 games where they've scored 20-plus points. Now, here's the weird kind of sciencey thing. Shout out to my boy Nick Harris, who said this stat, that the Cowboys, when they score 20 or more points at the crib, they've been 23-0 since like 2016 or something like that, since that came around.
I know exactly the stat you're talking about.
And then the one game they didn't, the one game they didn't score 20-plus points a game and they actually won was in 2018 when they beat the Saints at home.
So what you're talking about is when the Cowboys defense, I think it's something along the Cowboys defense, when they hold an opponent or the Cowboys offense don't score more than 20 points, they've lost the last 23 straight games. That's crazy to me. I didn't even think about that. I just assume, the Cowboys scored 19, they'll get it up. But it hasn't happened. That's more of an indictment to me on a whole bunch of other things than what people think. That might sound like, your offense is terrible. But no, sometimes you're going to have these games where your offense doesn't score. But I expect this offense to score 20 points today.
No, absolutely. And you saw some of the things that you wanted to see last week in the first half. You know, mainly more so Dak and CeeDee Lamb being able to get back on the same page. Now, we haven't gotten to the inactives yet, but there's going to be a huge loss in the Cowboys offense. That may hinder some of that opportunity for them to score, especially down the middle of the football field with the absence of certain players.
Well, put a pin in that, because I got a question for you, and I got a question for y'all two out there in the chat. Shouts out to you joining us today. Let's go ahead and get to those inactives for the Cowboys. That is Jake Ferguson, the big one, ruled out. We'll put a pin in that and come back to it. John Stevens Jr., so you're down 2 tight ends, right? You carry 4, you're down 2 already. So Brevin Span forward's going to have to step up as tight end 2 in this game, and he's going to play a lot. He played 19 snaps last week when Jake went down. He's going to play probably close to double of that, I'd imagine, in this game with Luke Schoonmaker as the guy. So,
you know what? I have a suspicious, sneaky feeling, and I'm kind of helping I want to help my narrative that I said a couple weeks ago. I want to push my narrative and kind of give it a little bit of support. I think you'll see the Cowboys go more 3-4 wide receivers today. I think instead of now trying to trust if Span, if Luke, Hunter Lipke and Schoonmaker, if they can be, just give me another wide receiver out there. Just give me another wide receiver and spread this thing out. So Jalen Tolbert, both Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks. This could be a Jalen show. This could be a show for the Jalens to kind of show up and show out at home today against the Saints.
At some point, they were going to turn to those Jalens anyway, right? I mean, week one, me personally, I didn't think that the passing game was going to go crazy. That was probably the best secondary you're going to see this year, in my opinion, on the road, first game of the season. You're at the crib now.
Yeah.
And the passing game usually wakes up. So we're definitely going to need to see the Jalen, specifically Tolbert, because he's your wide receiver 3 right now. And a lot of fans are putting some pressure on, hey, we like the kid that they're not suiting up. So if you don't do something, we want Ryan Flournoy, who is once again inactive. And again, for me, it's not a surprise. This is a 6th-round receiver who it would take injuries or poor play for him to probably get on the field. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it'll land, Jesse. So Buddy Johnson, Matt Waletzko, Andrew Booth, and Trey Lance is inactive again as the emergency quarterback. But let's get back to the Jake Ferguson inactive, who it was trending that way, right? We got some good news though. It looked bad.
Right.
I lost my appetite last week. You know, I didn't want to eat my vegetables because I was a little worried about my guy Jake. Tom was like, "You don't like veggies?" I was like, "Nah, man, I love veggies, but I'm not hungry no more." Jake might have tore his ACL, but he didn't.
No.
It was a bone bruise. It was a very mild sprain to the MCL. He thought maybe he might be able to play, but we figured he wouldn't. He's out. And one of the things we talked about was what you're going to miss with Jake Ferguson is that seam shot. And against this type of defense, they'll invite that, at least what I saw last week with all the blitzes. And I don't know, and you don't really think so either, that Dak trusts Luke Schoonmaker in that situation. I think he's going to attempt it. We'll see if Luke Schoonmaker comes down with it. I sure hope he does.
Yeah, when you're talking about throwing the ball over the middle of the football field, it's difficult for you to truly trust players that you don't have a relationship with, because the ability for it to turn out bad is a high rate. Because if the ball is not complete, you talk about it being tipped up in the air. That's the area of the field where you have safeties lurking around. Yep. You have linebackers playing underneath coverage, and so you want this level of comfortability. And remember, maybe like 2 years ago, where Dak had that issue throwing the ball down the middle of the field, whether it was receivers or tight ends.
2022, 2022, the option route year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once you find your guy, and you have trust in your guy, because that ear hole shot, that as the linebacker is playing underneath, I want to throw it right, safety over top. I want to be able to layer that thing right off the ear hole of that linebacker right before that safety comes up. And if I don't have a guy who understands how to position himself, when to look back for the football, have late hands, and not have alligator arms, because that safety may come in 2 or 3 steps after you catch it to lay the hit on you, I don't know if he's going to trust that. Now, again, that's why I said maybe you have more receivers doing that. Maybe you have more CeeDee Lamb running some of those down the seam.
Yeah, Lamb was getting a lot of those a couple years ago.
Right, and so that way there's a trust factor there, because if you're going to attack this Saint team, you're going to have to do it down the middle of the football field, because if they decide to bring the blitz, then my throws have to be right there, right now. If they decide to play coverage, then I got to make sure that I'm making those safeties respect the middle of the football field. So now that I have my outshot shot, so for Dak not having Luke Schoonmaker, it may play in the mind of it may play in the mind of what the play caller calls, and then how the quarterback throws those passes down the middle of the football field.
I got this strange feeling, because I remember this happened in the Patriots game.
I got a feeling.
That's the one I was thinking.
I got a feeling.
That's it. No, yeah, I got this strange feeling that they're going to try to at least see if they can do it with Ferg early. This happened in the Patriots
game. Ferg's not playing.
Dang,
listen, we want Ferg to be playing. That is the thing right there. We want Ferg to be playing, and we're going to keep talking about it and try to manifest it that there's going to be a late eraser and go, Ferg is now playing.
We're going to get to halftime.
Yeah.
Remember that dial with Ferguson? No, I think they're going to attempt it with Schoonmaker like they did against the Patriots last year, actually, early in the season. But he dropped one, and they never went back to Schoon. But if he can catch it, then that gives not just Dak more confidence, but something for the Saints to think about. But I do think you're onto something here where this could be more of a, hey, we at the crib, man. Here we go, offense. Let's spread this thing out, and let's get our guys in routes. And if they do decide to send that blitz, I'd much rather have a wide receiver attack in the middle as opposed to Luke Schoonmaker.
And for the Saints, they're down one of their best corners.
Yes, indeed.
They're down Marshawn Lattimore. So, again, it lends to, you know what? Let's go get them. Let's go get these boys on the outside. I got the top two receiver in the league. Let me go out here and play this thing like for our advantage.
That's probably the biggest headliner of inactives for both teams right now is Marshawn Lattimore, who left the game last week. He's one of the key players for me, spotlight players during the week. He left the game. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alabama corner, talented young man. He's going to have a tough task this week. You're not going against 33-year-old Adam Thielen. And shouts out to the South Carolina kid with the crazy accent.
The vet. What is his name? Xavier Leggett.
Yeah, shouts out to him.
Just hold that E.
Yeah.
Leggett. Hold that E. Yeah.
No, this is CD Lamb and
this is prime of the prime,
and a very veteran, still quality receiver in Brandon Cooks.
100%.
Okay, if they decided to continue to attack last week, I think Cooks would have had a lot more in the tank to do so. But he left with the dehydration, but he scored a touchdown prior to doing so. So without Marshawn Lattimore, they're really going to be leaning on their veterans like Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, and Cam Jordan, specifically for coverage-wise, Mathieu in that back end. Don't be surprised if you see Mathieu lined up with CD, seriously, because they do this with Tyrann where he'll play. Remember, he was a cornerback / safety early on. Now he's dealing with, I think, a heel. I think he has a heel issue that he missed a couple practices this week. So this matchup of the boundary guys, Paulson, I believe it's a Debo or a Debo. He had a better year last year, right? He was not great the previous 2 years. The Cowboys looked at him as mouse in the house. Better year, more confident, played well last week. They'll probably lean on him. But Dennis Allen, we talked about this behind the scenes. I think he's got a dilemma, y'all. I feel like he's going to have to decide how to attack Dak.
Yeah.
And we know against the blitz, and they blitzed the most last week, 15 times, the Saints did. Dak eats blitzes up for breakfast, okay? But historically speaking, at least, under Kellen Moore era, if you could rush 4, drop 7, that makes every quarterback. Even Pat had to adjust. Remember last year, 2 years ago, had to adjust the umbrella coverage, and most teams are doing that now. But if you can't get home, that just means there's more time for routes to develop, more time for Dak to move around. I ask you, how do you think they're going to play this?
I think they're going to throw a kitchen sink at them.
They're just going to say, if we're going to die, we're going to die fast.
I think that's the best way to do it because honestly, if you let Dak sit back there and diagnose things, he's going to pick you apart. And while you love Cam Jordan, 13-year vet, don't have the juice that he once had.
It's not the same Cam.
Right, not the same Cam. While Chase Young has historically carried the name because of his draft position, hadn't quite lived up to being that number 2, whatever it was, overall pick. And the guys, so now I'm saying, I don't get the rush that I need up front with just 4 guys. So now I have to create these different matchups and these different advantages for us by different stunts. I have to create the pressure and hope on the back end that we're able to make some plays and just play the percentages, right? CD Lamb catch them, sure. But when we get home sometime, that's the game Dennis Allen wants to play is we're going to give up some. We just don't want to give up the home runs, and we're going to play the percentages of we'll get home, we'll get a sack, we'll get a tip pass, we'll get a deflection, and maybe we can turn that into a turnover. So, but to think that you can just sit back there now with Dak, this version of Dak, with that version of CD, and even Brandon Cooks, I think that's a slow death that you don't really want to you don't want to die by.
I think that's an excellent point that you said. This version of Dak, because these two played each other. Dennis Allen went up against Dak Prescott against Dennis Allen in 2021 in New Orleans. And that game was the first game where I started this thing I do on my show where it's like, hey, man, this offense is looking weird heading into the playoffs. I don't know if this is a good sign. That was the game for me because Dak had a touchdown, a pick. It was tough. It was a struggle. But here's why it was a struggle. they were able to rush with 4.
Right.
They were able to beat your offensive line, and Dak wasn't able to sift through the coverage, and Kellen wasn't able to adjust to that. And that was a different version, though. Now, this is year 4 or 5, whatever it is, with Mike McCarthy, year 2 under this West Coast offense, where I was talking to you about this behind the scenes. It feels like there are answers baked in to the offense that can counter that, right? Where Kellen's offense wants to push the ball.
Right.
Everything downfield, hardly anything underneath in regards to hots and things like that. Not with McCarthy. McCarthy, there's slants, there's triple slants underneath. There's the back getting out in the backfield. So there's going to be things where, okay, Dak has the answer, but can he get to it? And I don't know if Carl Granderson, who's probably their best pass rusher, I watched him last week. He was okay.
Right.
Cam Jordan, I respect the hell out of Cam Jordan. Don't be surprised if he makes a play. That's the type of guy he is. But he's not the same dude from 3 years ago.
No.
Chase Young is trying to prove himself on his 3rd team in 3 years or 2.5 years, whatever. Actually, 2 years. He was with 2 teams last year.
2 teams last year. Yep.
So Chase Young, solid game last week. This is going to be something I'm keeping my eye on. How much trust does he have to just drop 7 and say, go get him?
And see, that's why I think you look at what Dennis Allen did with the veteran guys that he has up there. It's because now I need to do more. I need to have these different variations of what we're going to be defensively. And a lot of times I can do that more comfortably and confidently when I got a bunch of veterans up top. So when I have to send those blitzes, when I have to have those stunts, when I have to have whether it's a TE stunt or TT stunt or blitzing off the edge or whatever it may have you, it's a little bit easier when I have guys who've been around this league for a while and understand it and know how to play it at a level that doesn't hurt us. So I think you surround yourself with these veterans because of the multiplicity things that you want to do defensively, because this isn't a young squad. This isn't a squad with a bunch of young guys on it. It's a squad.
It's a veteran defense.
It's a veteran defense. And so that's why I believe that he's just going to have to say, hey, we got to go, fellas. We got to go up front. I got to send it up front, and then we'll adjust off that. If we're having success, we'll continue at it. If we aren't having success, then we'll have to figure out plan B. But to sit back and allow Dak to get into a rhythm early in this football game at home, I think that's a recipe for disaster for this defense. So I think you're going to see at
least early on they're going to throw a kitchen.
A dose of it. You're going to see guys coming after the quarterback just to get him off his spot, maybe create that confusion and maybe even create some of that, because we've seen it happen where, Dak and CD quite aren't on the same page early, and CD sometimes gets a little bit, he gets a little bit anxious, and he's like, come on, dog, let's go. So if you could create that early in this game, that can help you hopefully later on in this game. But if you just sit back and let Dak just scan through this thing and make plays and get in the rhythm, you're toast.
We are live, Cowboy Game Day live from Kanvas Sports and Social. Make sure y'all get down here. The party's just beginning. It's just starting up. Their day parties every Sunday, every game day. We'll be here. You hear the DJ in the background. Good food, good eats, good people, good vibe. Come on through, check us out, and watch the game with us. If you know me, you know it's entertaining. When you watch the game with me.
Yeah, you might get a high five, a chest bump.
I might tackle
you, jump on your back. There's no telling what you're going to get.
It really isn't.
From Will on a good play. Anywhere we've been, we've been all over the DFW at our time. And it's,
my energy goes everywhere.
It travels. It's like a running game and good defense. It travels. The energy travels.
Oh my goodness, what a segue here.
I'm a professional.
He is. What a professional here.
I'm a professional.
Just like my energy, I'm hoping that the Cowboys' run game can start to travel back home. Last week, I don't know, a lot of people seem to get really hype about certain things. I don't think there was anything that was that great for the Cowboys' run game. I'm a big guy on the how, right? I thought it looked just like last year, which was not great. Very basic running game. Between the tackles, barely did they even go outside. They rushed 72% of their carries were in between the tackles with their running backs. All the outside stuff was the receivers.
Right.
And when I went back and I watched this Saints defense on the ground last year, because we were laughing how you got to go back to last year. You really can't watch.
You cannot watch
this Panthers.
You cannot watch. You cannot watch.
Teams attack them on the outside roughly 60-something% of the time because that's where they had a lot of success. Whether it was reverses, end rounds, whatever, jet sweeps, or just running backs getting to the outside. The dilemma for me, running-wise, is I don't think we have the running backs that, besides Deuce, that really attack the edges in that manner. I don't think they're going to give Rico that opportunity. They're going to run him down the middle, and we know Zeke is he doesn't have that same outside ability that he had previously. So, just me personally, I don't know about you, Jesse, I'm looking for this run game to gain some steam this week, so that there's some confidence moving forward that once you do go up against these defenses that make it tough, you can lean on the ground game to help out your pass offense. Because last year, we knew the pass offense was the pass offense, but in my head, I'm like, what happens when teams challenge that? Do you have a complementary piece to it? We didn't. And that question is still to be answered for me, and I'm hoping today we can get a little bit of answer.
No, absolutely, and I go back to last week. That's what I wanted to see more so in the second half. They had 9 rushes the whole second half, and they just couldn't get anything going.
Strange.
Which is because here's my thing, is that when you get to a point in time where you kind of know the game is at hand, there is this level of dominating you, right? Like Michael Irvin used to talk about. He would say to you beat a man by attacking his weaknesses. You break a man by attacking his strengths. So it's one thing when you know I'm about to run the ball and there's nothing you can do about it, and I just run the ball down your throat. And I wanted to see more of that in the second half of the Cowboys, because I want this team to be able to lean on that run game at times, not every time, not all the time, but be able to be sufficient enough and successful enough to lean on that run game, because I know off the play action what comes with that, and that gives you a chance to be more successful. And I think the Cowboys, they didn't show me enough of that last week. There wasn't an assertive enough effort to make me believe. And I think the same thing's going to be true, against the Saints today. You're going to have to make them believe that you can efficiently and effectively run the football and do it at a clip where they have to now make an adjustment.
And some of what you're talking about is the ability to close out the game on the ground, right?
I want to get to that 4-minute offense.
Right.
And just know, like, dog, I'm even if I have to punt, it's going to be after a 12-play drive.
Right.
It's going to be a 12-play drive, 3.5, 4 minutes, and I'm just going to just keep beating you up, and then I'll punt the ball away, and then you'll punt it back to me, and then I'll drive it down your throat another 8, 9, 10 plays and eat up another 4 minutes of clock. And if I have to either field goal or punt it away, great. But by the time you get to the fourth quarter, you're waving the white flag, and you're like, listen,
get out of here.
No mas. I can't take no more of this. And that's when you break the big one off for a touchdown. And that's the nail in the coffin for you. And I didn't see that from the Cowboys last week.
I think that, and here's another reason why I think they need to gain some confidence. I think it's for the play caller. Mike McCarthy doesn't want to run at all, period. He can come out here every year, lie to y'all faces, and y'all can believe it if you want. But Mike does not want to truly commit to the run game. Oh, we're going to be a run team. We're on a run team last year. Oh, we're running back by committee, and we're going to be more committed to the run game. Really, 9 rushes in a 20-something point game in the second half? I'll believe it when I see it, Big Mike. But here's why I think this needs to happen for him, y'all. I'll go back to the Seattle Seahawks game. At the end of that game, they almost blew it because they couldn't run the ball.
Yep.
They threw the ball, leaving over a minute left on the clock. You run the ball, get a first down, game's over. Game's over. But we want to throw the ball because they don't have confidence in running the ball against a Seattle defense that wasn't that spectacular to me. So the last thing I want is Mike to be like, all right, man, we 4 games in, we can't run. So to close the game out, we're just going to throw it again.
Yeah.
That makes me a little nervous. So I need to see this get going, get some legs. And against the Saints team who, when you go look at them, I don't think they're particularly this big, powerful team down the middle. Brian Breesy's more of a pass rusher guy. One of their backup tackles is out Saunders. Their edge guys are now Cam and Granderson. They can contain edges and whatnot. But like I said, that's where teams attacked them a lot last year. So don't be shocked today if you see CeeDee Lamb, 3 carries, 3 of them are jet sweeps. Kevontae Turpin, 2 or 3 jet sweeps. You may see them attack that way. And I will then give them props in regards to McCarthy if he says, look, I understand my backfield. We don't got guys that can eat up grass out there, but we got receivers that can. Okay, bet. Well, then show me that you can do something down the middle of the defense to lean on this defense, get them out this shell, play action. Now we can get deeper.
Right.
Because if you're not going to do that, then the Sounders will say, well, thank you. I'll just play pass defense all day, and eventually somebody will miss a block, somebody will drop a ball, Dak might miss a read, and if you say you're going to throw the ball 40 times, all I need is a couple of those plays to go my way, and now the game is a game.
No, you're absolutely right. And for Mike McCarthy. And there's, like you said, sometimes it's not who's doing it or how it's done. It's the why in it all, right? Like let's try these different things. And at this point in time, you've already told us it's going to be running back by committee, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's going to be Rico or Zeke or Deuce or Turpin or CeeDee Lamb, fine. But let's get something going.
Figure it out.
Let's now attack all angles. Let's not do the whole, hey, we're gonna run the ball up the middle on first down.
Shotgun.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's have some creativity in what we're doing and allow your offensive line to get in a good rhythm. Because I think once those young guys get in a good rhythm, that helps their confidence out. That helps get the good lather on for them. They being the attackers and not the attackees. And again, this team, it thrives off play action pass. So when you get the run game going, now it's just a little bit more effective when Dak goes to stick that ball out and pulls it back. And now those safeties and linebackers eat up. And now if I do have to go to Lewis Schoolmaker down the middle, it's not such a tight cover, right? Because they had to bite up on the play action a little bit, or I'm able to see things develop more frequently.
You call that man Lewis Schoolmaker?
Whatever his name is.
Hey, Luke, you need to do something today because people forgetting your name out here, Luke.
As my boy Nate Newton say, do something and I'll remember your name.
Facts. I mean, you ain't lying.
Do something and I'll remember your name.
Hey, Lewis. That boy don't look nothing like no Lewis.
Lewis. Hey, Lou.
Oh, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Cool, hey, Lou. Oh, man. You know what? You talk about creativity. You ain't got to worry about that on the other side of the ball, man. Look, we
are we a fan of that, though? Are we a fan of the creativity that comes from that tree? Goodness.
Oh, yes.
It's a treat. It's a treat to watch teams that come from the coaches who coach that come from that Shanahan tree.
I feel like every week I'm on Twitter saying, man, it sure would be nice to steal that play. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing that I respect about the Saints offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, and guys like him. By the way, if all you have to hear is the word Kubiak, and if you are a historian of the game, you understand, right? Gary is his father. Gary was under Mike Shanahan for years, the backup to John Elway. Eventually became a coordinator and a head coach everywhere, running a similar style. They took that style. OG Shanahan and his son tweaked it, modernized it. Next thing you know, you got McDaniels, you got Callahan, you got Kubiak, you got McVay, Slowick. It's a slew of them. The Green Bay Packer head coach. It's a slew of them. LaFleur. You talked about wanting to see some creativity. I'm watching this first week because, it is cool to watch their offense the first week as opposed to their defense. And I'm like, my man, he unloaded the clip against the Panthers. He gave the Cowboys 11 things to focus on in this game. You talk about, and I want y'all to see this real quick, you talk about putting the ball in the running back's belly, pulling it out, and something else is going on. Derek Carr is thanking Clint Kubiak for bringing that to the offense because he's made it so much easier for him.
And let me tell you why, because this is the thing that what Kyle Shanahan does. Kyle Shanahan, for the quarterbacks of his team, look at Brock Purdy, right? He eliminates the thinking at the position. And this is the new age of football because Kyle Shanahan and now Clint Kubiak, you see them doing that with Derek Carr. They say this, okay, guys, here's a play that we're going to call. We're going to motion, we're going to shift. If you get this look, ball should go here.
Yeah.
If you get that look, ball should go here. So you're not doing this whole thinking process of I got to do all these different things, and now I'm like, the ball's intercepted, the ball's overthrown. They play it to a place where he's saying, I'm going to do all the pre-snap work for you. I'm going to put you in the proper formation. I'm going to motion it. You're going to know whether it's man or zone. And for Zim playing that cat and mouse game, somebody's going to have to declare, right? Somebody's going to have to show their hand at some point in time because with all the shifts in motion. I'm going to shift. I'm going to motion. I'm going to motion as the ball is being snapped, right? So I'm going to do all these different things. And now for the quarterback, I've taken the grunt work out of the position. Now you know when you get zone, here are the two places the ball should go. And they're profitable. It doesn't always have to be a home run hitter, but it's a first down. We're moving the ball. Here's another play. And then eventually he goes, hey, what we begged Kellen Moore for a couple of years ago. This leads to this, leads to this, leads to the home run. So we're going to check it down here. Check it down now. Check it down one more time. Got him. Now we're going to run the same formation. I'm going to configure it the way I want it. Rashid Shaheed down the middle of the football field, because they've seen this look so many times. So this is a tree, with Shanahan being, the daddy of it all,
OG.
And the OG, and now Clint Kubiak saying, "Hey, Derek Carr, I don't need you to be Superman. I don't. In fact, I don't even to be Robin. Be Alfred. Just do exactly what I asked you to do. Be Alfred. I'm going to do the work for you."
Yeah.
And you see in Derek Carr, there was one play. I was watching the game, and Derek Carr, they're rolling out right, and the tight end's running the deep over. But the DB is kind of playing like the undercut, and you can see that Derek Carr is fighting the urge to do something that he knows he shouldn't do. He's like, I want to throw it. And the quarterback's running like, if you throw this, I'm going to intercept it. Yeah. The old Derek Carr would have just thought he could fit that in, and there was no room for him to fit it in. He's like, I throw that out of bounds. And you live to see another day. And so I think that's one of the things that Clint Kubiak has unlocked in Derek Carr is, I don't need you to be Superman, Batman, or Robin. I'm going to take care of all the dirty work pre-snap with what we do. I just need you to be Alfred and do what I tell you to do, and we should be successful.
And one of the challenges of these type of offenses is that they marry their run game with the pass game. So while a run looks like a run, even post-snap, there was a play, and the thing about the Kubiak offense is you really got to worry about a lot of boots, a whole lot of boots. Mm-hmm. When Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, by the way, Mike Zimmer and Kubiak had that relationship. Yep. In 2019, it was one of Kirk Cousins' best years, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And one of the plays that was a staple, I remember vividly seeing a bunch, was it would look like a outside zone run. He pulls it, boot, nothing but green grass, and now he can wait for over routes and whatnot. Well, they've tweaked it a bit. I've seen a play, they went to Rashid Shaheed, where it looks like that, stretch zone left, pull it, you look like I'm about to roll out. Nope, he stops. Now I got the right tackle and right guard out in front, throw it to Shaheed, 12 yards up for an easy completion. That's like a long handoff. Yeah. So they're adding little layers to it. And I say that about marrying the run to the pass because the second level is going to have to be on it this week. Overshown, Kendricks, Marisleaf, whoever is in there, going to have to be on it. And something I honestly wasn't thinking about till you brought it up, because Overshown had a fantastic week one, was this is going to be Overshown's first game really seeing this style of offense every snap. Right. So it's not going to be, we'll do it for a few. They're going to do this from the word go, and it'll be a great test for not just him, but this defense in general early on to say, okay, we can do it against this style of offense. And moving forward, when you do run into the San Frans and the Detroit to the worlds later on, maybe the Green Bay again, we'll see, you have that built-in confidence for it. And here's another built-in confidence maybe for Zim, because he knows, hey, I've won up against this before, and I've had success. In fact, you go look at it statistically, Zimmer has had more success against these type of offenses than anybody, really. But every year things change, and Zimmer knows that. Personnels are different, coaches are different, and this is what I'm most excited about. Zimmer versus Kubiak. Who gets the edge in this one? And if Zimmer can win this one, that's going to give me so much confidence, Jesse, moving forward against these type of offenses.
And what's key for the Cowboys defensively is the old dog. It's going to be Eric Kendricks, right? He's going to be your green dot guy, and he's going to be the guy. And while this is so important, ladies and gentlemen, is because Eric Kendricks, a 10-year vet, right? He can be one of the guys like Dak Prescott. I've seen just about all the offenses. But what's going to be critical is I have to make the call and then make the check and then make sure that people that are around me understand the check that I made. And so for guys like Maris Lewis-Fowl, for guys like Damarian Overshown, when this thing gets to move a little bit fast, is can I get these guys lined up where they're supposed to be? So it's going to be critical for, and this plays a part in it when you start talking about the totality of an offense. What did the Saints do last week? They changed personnel just about every single time. So defensively, who's coming in and off the field, right? Are we getting in and off the field because they went from 22 personnel to 11 personnel? Oh, they went from 11 personnel to 21 personnel. Oh, they went from 21 personnel to 12 personnel. That means linebackers are coming in. Linebackers are going off. DBs are coming in. Nickel, dime, all this kind of stuff. Now I have to be the guy in Eric Kendricks and say, okay, guys, here's what we have. We can't have late substitutions because now they're moving. I'm making the checks. I'm making the calls. You got to get a guy like Damarian Overshown who has an immense amount of talent, who has the skills, who plays like his hair is on fire at 100 miles an hour. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah.
We talked about the eye discipline, right? We talk about being able to be slow to your no, right? That's not trying to see the first. In this offense, the first thing you see, you can't always jump to.
No.
Because 9 times out of 10, it's the punch that you don't see that knocks you out. So they want to lead you somewhere, and they want all that energy of Overshown going this way, because guess what, buddy? We're going that way. You know what I'm saying? And now you got to stop. So for Overshown, it's getting lined up. It's for Eric Kendricks to say, hey, young fella, here's the check, here's the calls, and be able to communicate that, right? But I got to get my subs in there right. I got to get my guys lined up, and I got to be ready, set to go when the ball is in play. That's going to be critical. And Eric Kendricks is a guy who's been with Zim for a long time, who knows what to do, when to do, how to do it, and how to get these guys lined up in a proper place.
And first thing first for this defense today against Kubiak's offense is to contain and stop Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams, who I think is a really good on paper. You know, Kamara gets hurt, but a traditional 1-2 punch.
Yep.
And they use those guys just like that. Jamal Williams will almost exclusively run between the tackles. Alvin Kamara, maybe not exclusively, but a majority of his carries are going on the edges. And with Kubiak, it's different now because they'll get elephants on parade out there on the edges, right? They'll get emotion with the whatever you want to call Taysom Hill. I mean, this dude is fullback, quarterback, halfback, wide receiver, tight end.
He's everything.
He's everything. And then they'll also have the real tight end come right behind that. Now there's four or five people out on the edge against your 2 or 3.
Yep.
So you got to be ready for that. That closing speed for DeMar Van Overshown, I really want to see it again today and crashing down and limiting a Alvin Kamara. And if they do get into the red zone, buckle up, okay? Because Jamal Williams puts his hard hat on and he'll try to score. That's where he's best at, is in the red zone. Stopping those two guys is going to be priority number one, but can't sleep on the guy we brought up, Rashid Shaheed. He is their deep stretch guy. Like,
he's fast.
Boom or bust.
Like, he's fast.
And they're going to use the speed.
He's fast.
Yeah, this isn't, we got a fast guy like a Turpin, and we're just going to give him, handoffs. No. They're going to stretch the field. So, and honestly, I have confidence in we're going to have safeties to play back, but what you don't want to do is, we can't stop the run. So I got to bring a safety up here, and now it's cover one or single high, and Shaheed got number of room and space and opportunity.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if we got a guy that could just run with him stride for stride.
Run stride for stride.
And that's going to be, and one guy we haven't talked about, that's going to be where you got to say, hey, 11, we need you to get home.
Yeah.
We need you to get home because if we can't stop the run, we need you to get home and really, muck this thing up because if Rashid Shaheed gets that opportunity to stretch that thing down the field, Derek Carr still has the arm to throw it down there. So, got to stop the run.
You said that, though, because last week, he barely got touched. Mm-hmm. And, I had to kind of chuckle a bit of like, this is the Panthers, man. This is one of the worst pass rushes in the National Football League. I hope, they don't think that that's going to be the case this week.
No,
going up against a team who, almost always leads the league in pressures, has a Micah Parsons on the side. Oh, not only just Micah, but D-Law is waking up a little bit over here. Marshawn Nealon was fantastic in his debut. Also, we know can get after it. Chauncey Golston. We're talking about pass rushers here. Chauncey Golston. Oh, by the way, they could blitz in Eric Kendricks and Marvin. Oh, by the way, here comes nickel cornerback Jordan Lewis. So, in my opinion, this isn't going to be like last week, Derek Carr. There's going to be pressure here, and I think you're going to need to get that pressure because, as you said, if not, and he can just sit back there, he can now outrun a zone if need be, and that clears the middle if they do have 2 over 4, a guy like Chris Olave, who Olave may not stretch the field as much as a Shaheed in this year maybe, but he will attack the middle of the field.
He's a good route runner.
Very good route runner. And they didn't really have to go to him that much last week. But I foresee them trying to get him going, on the road here. He's been not this offense, but he's been around with the Saints with Carr for a couple years now. I feel like they're going to try to get him going. Be careful, though. Be careful because Diggs showed you.
Listen, Diggs is talking with a lot of, he talking with his chest,
what you think about Olave? He said, come on, man.
Trick question?
Trick question?
He's a good
receiver,
player.
Bro.
Yeah, he's a good player.
What you want?
What you want from me?
Also, though, young man Carson's he just wait. He keep baiting these dudes. He had some heart last week. He baited. You don't bait Amari Cooper that much.
I'm telling you, I'm not. I don't want to keep rehashing the conversation that I had with Al Harris at training camp. We were by the waffle maker. We were getting waffles, and I liked Carson. I just thought a guy who played that many snaps in college, that's so transferable into the league. Those reps matter.
Yeah.
That confidence matters. And when I asked Al Harris about him, he said he looked me right in the he looked me right in the white of my eyes, and he said to me, "I got another one.
I got one.
I got another one." And we showed it on one of my shows this week. Al Harris posted. I should have sent it to you. Had you posted up here. He posted a picture of the old school Al Harris. Now, y'all see the refined Al Harris. Y'all see the assistant coach Al Harris, the clean cut.
Old school Al Harris, the long dreads.
Nah, old school Al Harris had the gold grill and the spiky.
Oh, this was before they came.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
this young Al Harris.
And I tried to tell the Caucasian delegation of my show, I said, here's what I want y'all to understand. The dude that you see in that picture is still in him. This is what that dude and that attitude is what he's incorporating into these DBs. You get the refined version of him now, right? You get the
mature.
You get the mature.
Yeah.
He got his grill done. You know, he got the veneers in now. He's clean cut. He's well spoken. He's reformed. That dog
though
does not leave. The Broward County, Florida Pompano boy, that's in him. And that's the dude behind the scenes when he's sitting there with these DBs is like, nah, you get the gold grill, short dreads, Florida boy. That's what I'm coaching. They get the clean cut. Oh, I'm presenting like I want to be a head coach person. But the dog that Al Harris is, and you see it, you saw it in DeRon Bland, you see it in Trayvon Diggs, you see it in Carson. That's the kind of energy that he is incorporating into these players. And so if you get a chance, go to his Instagram and see that picture. And maybe we'll have it pulled up by halftime or something like that. But that is the dog of Al Harris that he's incorporating into these DBs.
There's still very much that we're going to get the ball and we're going to go score. Al Harris, bet, pick 6 in a playoff game. There's still that Al Harris in him, and he is definitely basically putting that into this unit.
100%.
And you see it in the confidence they play with. On top of a Mike Zimmer scheme where it kind of prides itself on that discipline and that, look, the dog will come out, but you have to be strategic in it. And, boy, if my man could catch the rock, he'd have had 2 or 3 interceptions last week.
And I think you also hit on a point when you're talking about, doing the things right. A story came out this week. They talked about Micah Parsons and the relationship that he had with Mike Zim. And the thing that Mike Zim has done with Micah is he's employed Micah to be much more of a leader on this team. He's given him added responsibility.
He's teaching him everything about the game.
And in return, it has caused Micah to be a better football player, to be a better leader, because now if you're giving me this much control, then I have to make sure that I'm right because the guys around me have to be right. And I think that was just a great psychological play from Zim. It wasn't, because everybody thought he was going to be like, you're going to do what I say when I say
he's
do
on
it.
some Zen master stuff.
He's saying like, you know what? Here's how I'm going to get you engaged and get you involved. I'm going to give you a boatload of responsibilities. And now you hear Micah talking about, I study and I play because I want to get the approval of my defensive coordinator.
I'm looking over there. Hey, is you good? You happy?
Right.
As opposed to, I know whatever happened. Me and Q.
Right.
We're gonna talk about Jays next week.
Right.
Like no.
And so that's the you talk about what Al Harris is doing with the DBs, and now when you talk about what Zim is doing with guys like Micah Parsons and Eric Kendrick is going to be Eric Kendrick because he understands that I'm a 10-year vet. I've been in this game for a very long time.
Yeah.
That is the making of a great nucleus that you can have on defense, where you got everybody playing their part to a T to give your team success.
100%. And we're about a couple minutes away from kickoff, so you know what that means. We are bringing it back, ladies and gentlemen. We are bringing back our Underdog Fantasy Pick'em Plays of the Week. I had so much fun with this a couple years ago. I got a little greedy, though. I was going from 2 to 3 then it was 5 for like
chasing it.
The next 10 weeks.
You was chasing it. You was chasing them.
I'm starting off with 4, okay? And shouts out to Underdog, who is our partners once again, man. Use your projections to win real cash by playing on the #1 fantasy sports platform at Underdog Fantasy. And remember to use our code ATOZ Dallas, and they will match your deposit up to $1,000. So if you need a link, go into all of our socials. It will be there. Pick them, watch them, win them. All right, I got 4 today. I feel really good about 3 of them. The last one, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, Ezekiel Elliott and Cowboys Nation, you guys can play as well. And if you want to play this exact play, like I said, use our code and let me know if you win.
Get
Ezekiel Elliott, higher or lower basically a rush or receiving touchdown. I have higher today. I feel like Zeke, you can almost pencil him in for a rush touchdown in the red zone. That's what he is great at. That's what he's best at this day and age in his career. Once he gets down there, I don't think there's maybe one or two other backs that can put in that realm. I got Zeke scoring a tutty today.
No, I think you're right on par with that one. Zeke getting in the red zone, pretty much Zeke scoring a touchdown.
Brandon Cooks, higher or lower, 46.5 receiving yards. I did fight with this one a little bit because Brandon Cooks only had 47 or more receiving yards 4 times last year. But that was, him trying to figure it out. He had 40 in the game where he didn't have to throw a lot last week against a really good secondary. No Marshawn Lattimore. Paulson Adebo might have to do a little bit more with CD, so that leaves maybe the young buck on Cooks. I like Cooks getting more than 46 a day at the crib.
Again, I'm pushing my narrative. I think he's going to get less than that because the ball's going to Jalen Tolbert today. The ball's going to Jalen Tolbert today. Jalen Tolbert, I'm going to keep trying to help my narrative. Jalen Tolbert is going to eat today, and Brandon Cook will have a player too. Jalen Tolbert is going to eat today, so I'm going to say he's going to have under because Jalen Tolbert is going to be the one that balls out.
I ain't going to lie to you. I hope that's the case. That will give a lot of confidence to everybody moving forward with Jalen Tolbert. Higher or lower, Michael Parsons with the sack. I mean, this might be the easiest one to me because, and it says a half a sack. That means an actual full sack credited to Michael Parsons. Talisi Fuwaka is playing, okay? He's dealing with a back. They might give him that, what you call it, the epidural.
Got some good drugs in their locker room.
But at the end of the day, man, Michael Parsons is Michael Parsons.
Yes.
And I'm not a bit Trevor Penning on the other side, man. That might be mouse in the house. So we got to bring that segment back for the pregame show.
Okay.
But Trevor Penning is not that great of a tackle. Maybe you line up Mike over there a lot in this game, and I think he's going to get one. So I got higher for Mike.
I absolutely agree. I think Mike is on a mission, man on a mission. The man that's looking to really solidify and stamp himself this year as the defensive player of the year.
Yep.
And at least early on in the season for Michael Parsons, he is a bat out of hell, right? Like he is a force to be reckoned with. I think that continues against the Saints today.
And then finally, Alvin Kamara. And let me bring this back. I believe it's 87.5 rush plus receiving yards, higher or lower. And let me tell you why this one was way more tricky, because it's a combination. Okay, so all they really need is like 45 and 45, and we know Alvin Kamara, he does that in his sleep, especially when he's healthy. So this is just me saying, Cowboys defense, I'm begging you today. Come out just like you did last week and shut these boys down. You do that, this this play is going to hit for Underdog Fantasy Sports, ladies and gentlemen. But I picked lower, but I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah, he had 83 rushing yards last week, and he had 5 receptions. So he had over 100 total yards of offense last week. He is the guy that is, really the engine that makes this offense run.
Yeah.
He's a matchup problem. He's a slippery runner on the edges. Man, he's great contact balance. If the Niners have Christian McCaffrey, he is the Christian McCaffrey for this Saints offense in the way they know how to do it. So I want to agree with you, but I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go higher.
So if he gets roughly 90 or close to 100, I do wonder if that's going to spell trouble. Or is that, hey, game's out of hand and he's getting a lot of stuff. So it could be two things. That's why this one was the trickiest one for me, but I could make it easy. I couldn't make it all easy. So I got lower, which means I need the defense, Cowboys. Step up today, man.
Show up.
That is my pick on play of the week. Like I said, head on over to Underdog Fantasy Sports. Use our code ATOZ Dallas, and you can get a match up to $1,000. All right, kickoff coming up, Cowboys Nation. You can see us at halftime. We will be covering everything that happened in the first half, and hopefully again, I say this all the time. I don't like to have an attitude on here at halftime. Last week I did not. We were good to go. But there's times I come on here and I gotta pretend like I'm okay, but I'm not. Okay, so I want to be okay, y'all. So we can have fun on the halftime show.
You got the Cowboys winning this game?
Yes, I got the Cowboys getting the dub. I do think they hit the 30-point mark today.
Okay, I got them just under. I got them 29-17 Cowboys.
29-17. Okay, that's still a really good game.